my channel. Today I have a video for you which is basically the books I read in April. I read 5 books in April and let's get ahead with it before any further dealing. Okay, so the first book I read on my Kindle is The Duchess Deal by Duchess Deal. This is the first book in the Girl Meets Duke series, and they're all standalones. They have no connection with each other, so you can read any of them first. So this was a really fun historical romance read that I had done after a really long time. I really wanted to get back in that mood, and I did get that in the mood, and I'm very happy about that. This was a little toxic compared to other historical romances, but not too much. There was a lot of wit and humor and witty banter between Emma Gladstone and Duke of Ashbury. So this book is about this girl called Emma Gladstone who is a seamstress, and one day she runs into Duke of Ashbury's house in a wedding gown, in a really hideous looking wedding gown, and she tells him to pay for the wedding gown of his ex-fiancée. Now, Duke of Ashbury just returned from war and he has scars on his face and he doesn't look so good anymore, and he gives her this offer where he tells her to marry him to produce an heir because he does not have enough time. He needs to produce an heir so that he can save his property and from his very useless cousin. And so they strike a deal, and she has some conditions and he has some conditions, and it was a lot of fun to read this book. I'm so happy I read this book because I really wanted something to laugh about, and it had so much humor in it, and that's why I like this book a lot. Emma's character was really sweet. She just wanted a lot of love and affection in her life in this marriage, while he only wanted the opposite. He just wanted to produce an heir and get done with her. But soon they start falling in love with each other, and basically it's a fake relationship trope that comes into the story. So that's something I really liked about the story, and I gave it 5 stars. So the second book that I'd like to talk about is Murder at the Mushaira by Raza Mir. Now this is a historical fiction with mystery in it, and I really enjoyed this book too. Basically it follows this character called Sarfaraz Laskar, who's riding away from guards, and he gets shot in the chest or arm, I don't remember. But and then from there the scene shifts to this Mushaira happening, which is basically a gathering of poets. And after the Mushaira, a famous poet but an unlikable character gets murdered, and we find out basically through the story what the relation is between the two. And I really like the story. I think the setting was really good. I love that it took place in Ramzan, but with Shia characters in it, and that was a really eye-opening scene for me, I think, because it really, I don't know much about that community, even though I have a lot of friends in it, and it helped to understand quite a lot. So I really like the story for that, and I really like the cover too. I think it's a really pretty cover. I fell in love with it. It's like one of those old Mughal paintings, and there's also a painter in this called Hedri, and she's also one of the really good characters that I really liked in the story. And I love the women who were portrayed in the story. I think they were really strong and independent, despite having very useless husbands, basically. So I really liked the story for that. I gave it 4 stars because there were a few big jokes in it, and I don't particularly enjoy jokes on any part of the human body. So that's something why I didn't like the book that much. But nonetheless, it was a really fun read, and I do recommend it for people who want to read this. It's set during India's first war of independence. So, yeah, let's move on. So the next book that I'd like to talk about is The Store by James Patterson and Richard DeLallo. This is a thriller, and I really like this book like well enough. I don't think it was particularly very thrilling. In the beginning, it was. I think it opened up very well, but then it started becoming a little too American for me, as in the children would just very casually call their dad crazy, and that kind of hindered my experience of reading. So this book follows Jacob and Megan. I'll actually just read you the synopsis first before discussing the book. The store doesn't just want your money, it wants your soul. Imagine a future of unparalleled convenience. A powerful retailer, the store, can deliver anything to your door, anticipating the needs and desires you didn't even know you had. Most people are fine with that, but not Jacob and Megan Primeys, New York writers whose livelihood is on the brink of extinction. Jacob and Megan are going undercover to dig up the store's secrets. But after a series of unsettling discoveries, their worst fears about the store seems like just the beginning. Harboring a secret that could get him killed, Jacob has to find a way to escape the store's watchful eye and publish his expose before the truth dies with him. So basically, this book had a good thriller section in it where there was not enough violence but a lot of psychological manipulation that goes on in the story. And the high risks are because the couple has children, and that's actually one of the reasons that I actually enjoyed this book is because they have children, the stakes are higher, and it kind of makes for a better thriller. And that's what I liked about the story. Although the end really confused me, I couldn't understand what was happening in the end and how did they actually manage to expose the store, because everybody seemed to be fine with it. Like, it was really shocking. So that's something I found really weird about the story. But I gave the story 4 stars and I enjoyed it. I think if you are into a psychological manipulation kind of a thriller, this is the perfect book for you. So the next book that I'd like to talk about is Supernova by Marissa Meyer. This is the third and final book of the Renegade series, and I think it wrapped up the series pretty well, in my opinion. But I didn't like the ending so much. And if you'd like to know a little more about the ending, you can always go and watch my reading blog for this book. So moving ahead, I rated this 4 stars, and I really like the romance in this. I like this. I like the 2 wars that take place in this, and I really like Asanaki's character as a villain. I think he did an amazing job as a villain, and I really like some of the characters like Dana and Oscar and Ruby, who, especially Dana actually, I think that when her suspicions landed right, nobody believed her and I actually felt bad for her. I empathized her, even though she is more of a neutralize the villains, but I think she was still very impressive at the same time. And I liked that this book was better than the second book. I had a second book syndrome, book slump, and I still went ahead with it and I read this. And this was far thicker than the second book. But like I said, I didn't like the ending so much. That's why I gave it a 4 stars. I think it could have been better. And if you want to know exactly what I wanted out of it, like I said, it's there in the reading blog. So let's move ahead to the last book of this video. So the last book that I'd like to talk about in this video is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, I fell in love with this book, alright. It was the best combination of fantasy and violence and the lover's trope, enemies to lover's trope, and I just really enjoyed it. I wanted to be in the fae setting kind of a mood and like with very magical fantasy, like the old times. So this was perfect in that way. So Jude is basically our main protagonist in the story. It's from the first person's perspective, and she's a mortal. So one day what happens is that she and her sister's parents get murdered by this guy called Maddox, and then he takes them away to Elfheim, the fairyland, and that's where they live as humans among the Fae. And there's a lot of violence in it. Although I'm a person who doesn't like violence much, it was still really entertaining, and that was really shocking for me. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's a very fast-paced book, and it's one of the reasons that I really like the story. It reminded me of Throne of Glass, so that kind of mood was really perfect for my mood, basically. So we have Carden, who is a cruel prince in the story, and he loves to bully and scare people. So that's whom Jude basically braves one day, and ever since Carden feels a little intimidated that he can't scare Jude so much. So they form this weird partnership in the end by the end of the story, and it makes me want to read the second and the third book, basically the rest of the series, to find out what happens in the end. And I rated this 5 stars. So thank you everyone, thank you for coming to this channel and watching this video. Please do go and check out my other videos too if you're interested. And until then, goodbye.